Hey, everybody, it's Melinda Russell here with my co host Brett Timmerman. It's Let's Talk Racing Live. And yeah, if you can hear it in my voice, I am freaking wound up. The NASCAR race just got over. And honestly, it was a really good race. And I know you gotta watch the beginning of the race, Katie, and then you gotta wait and watch the end. There's not a lot happening in the middle, but it was really good. And Kyle Busch won the race. So I just that was a spoiler in case you haven't watched it. But anyway, too bad. So I'm so excited to have Katie Hettinger on the show. Katie and I have tried to get her on here, but she's so busy racing. Then she travels so much that it's been hard, hasn't it, Katie, for us to get together?
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. So I met Katie, what, maybe 3 years ago? 2 or 3 years ago, I met
Mhm.
Katie, and she was kind of, I would say, a little girl. She wasn't grown up like she is now, and but she was one to watch even back then. And so I've had my eye on her, and of course she's a Michigan girl, so I have to keep track of her. And so I've seen her several times. Actually saw her race two times. I think I've seen you race. And so we finally got a chance to have her on here, and she's got a lot that she can share with us. So, Katie, why don't you first tell us a little bit about yourself in case somebody out there doesn't really know much about you? Where you live, your family, where do you go to school, that kind of thing. And
Yes.
then we'll talk about your racing. Go ahead.
Okay. So I grew up racing. I'm a third generation driver. My grandpa, my dad's dad raced, and then my dad raced, and then I raced. And so I always grew up at the track. I went to my first race when I was probably like a month old. So I've always been at the track. I've always wanted to race. So when I turned 5, I started racing quarter midgets, and I raced those until I was about 10. And then I switched to dirt, and I ran junior sprints and micros on dirt for 2 years. So we went to the Tulsa shootout, ran in Indiana some and stuff. And then we switched back over to pavement, and ran a junior late model, the CRA Junior Late Model Series. So I ran that in 2019, and then in 2020, my second year in it, I won the championship. So then we decided to start racing down in North Carolina. So I worked with Lauren Renier, and he hooked me up with Matt Piercy Racing, who I raced with for the 2021 and the 2022 season. So I've been racing late model stocks, and then I ran limited late model with him too. So at the end of 21, we got 2 wins at Hickory Motor Speedway in a limited late model and then a late model stock, which made me the youngest female to win at the track.
Mhm.
And then last year at the beginning of the season, we won 4 races at Hickory. So that makes me the winningest female at Hickory Motor Speedway, which is awesome
It
because
is.
there's so much history at Hickory and everything. Um, I have 2 siblings. I have a little sister and a younger brother. My brother's 3, so he's about to start racing and he loves it. And then I have a sister who's 12, and so she started racing, but she likes dance better, so she does that. So it's cool to go watch her dance competitions and stuff. But my dad and I, we moved to North Carolina at the end of last year, and so we moved to Mooresville, which is where all the racing is for NASCAR and everything. And I started
Mhm.
training with Chevy because I'm a Chevy development driver. So this year, I'm racing for Anthony Campy and Team Chevy. So that is my big plans this year, and that's been a lot of fun. But that's pretty much all about me.
Well, and that's a pretty condensed version, obviously, but excuse me, you've done so much. Brett, you better I gotta have a drink. You've done so much in your really short career. How old are you, Katie?
I'm 15. I turned 16 at the end of June.
Okay, so 10, 11 years you've been racing.
Hmm.
And you've got some pretty amazing stats behind you, things that you've accomplished already. So, do you homeschool then?
Yeah, so last year in August, I started in person school at the school I've gone to back in Michigan my whole life. But I switched to online, so I do a school called On Track. So some of the guys I
Okay.
actually race with do the same school. So it's really easy to teachers are understanding about missing for racing and everything. but still got to get good grades and everything. So, but it's not too hard.
Well, yeah, and my grandkids do online school by choice, and honestly, it makes you realize that there is a lot of wasted time in a school day. I hate to say it, but there really is. You know, by the time you move classes and you do all these different things and you have lunch and you have PE and all those things, but I've just noticed that they can learn the same things in about a half or less of the time.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot easier doing online because I can get all my classes done like Monday or Tuesday, and so then I have like Wednesday and Thursday. So when I'm testing and racing, I don't have to like
right,
worry about my homework or stuff like that.
right, absolutely. And so would that make you a sophomore or a junior?
Yeah,
Sophomore.
so I'm a sophomore right now, and I'm trying to like take double classes this
Yeah.
summer and then next year, so I can try and graduate a little early.
Oh yeah, that's great. And I haven't heard of On Track, but somebody was smart when they developed that program because if you're a race person and you're still school age, what an ideal company to partner with because they understand about racing. So that's
Hmm.
really cool.
Can
So
anybody sign up for On Track?
Yeah. So, like my friend Connor Zillich, he does it, and he's a couple grades above me. I know Jesse Love does it, and then it's mostly like a lot of motocross kids that do it. So like those are most of my classmates. But there's this girl in my class, and she like does dance, and so she signed up for On Track. And we looked at like some other online schools, but On Track it was like they were more laid back about the assignments. So it's pretty nice, but you can do anything like to be a part of it.
Yeah, because Adriana, my daughter, does online schooling, and they don't offer it here like where we were, but so she had to go to a different school district. But we might look if she wants to do it next year. She's thinking about going for her senior year to be a student again, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
yeah, good plan. So On Track, Brett, and we'll I might check that out a little more and do some kind of story about it because that's really cool. I like
Mhm.
hearing that they're making it important for you to still go to school and do all that, and yet understand that racing is probably going to be your life career.
Mhm.
And yeah, so very cool. So your classmates you have now are all probably or most in racing. What about prior to that when you went to school? What school did you go to?
I went to Almont School, Almont High School back home in Michigan. And
Okay.
it's a small town school. So there were a bunch of the boys that rode dirt bikes or like quads or stuff like that for fun. There was one girl in my class where her and her sister drag race. So that was pretty cool. But most people didn't know anything about the kind of racing I do. Like most people know about NASCAR and like sprint cars and stuff like that. But I
Hmm.
don't think anyone realized like what I actually do until like they started focusing on or like seeing my social media. And
Yeah.
then my school would do some posts about me, and when I'd race in Michigan, some friends would come out. So it's cool, like just telling people who have no idea like about anything what I do, and like
Yeah.
then when they're like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
cool. Everyone knew me as like the girl who raced at school.
Because when you live in a small town, that makes a difference. And I just wondered how the kids at school treated you. But if there's that many kids in your school involved in motorsports of some kind, then it's not as big of a deal. I want to say because sometimes kids can be teased or whatever. But
Yeah.
luckily for you, I'm sure that didn't happen. So
No, usually everything was, like, cool. There was one time where the news crew came to school with me, though, and nobody would come talk to me because there was cameras following me, and so I looked like a loner standing there because no one wanted to be on camera.
oh gosh, that's kind of funny though. Yeah, for sure. So Brett, do you have any questions for Katie?
So, Katie, I know that like me and Melinda kind of know what you do. So, um, I know you race micros at Millbridge,
Mhm.
and you race the late model series at Hickory. So let's explain to like the listeners what the micros is and what the late model is, and if it's dirt or asphalt.
Yeah, so, I this year, I'm starting to get back in the dirt again, which I'm so excited about because I love dirt racing. I had so much fun doing it. So I'm really glad that Chevy and Carver Racing has helped me out with that. because I really enjoy it. And it's something fun to do on like Wednesday nights. And Millbridge is a really fun track. It's dirt. It's a small dirt track, and a lot of the NASCAR guys go out there and run. So you see a lot of guys out there. But it's just fun to go out. I'm still like getting the rust dusted off and trying to get better and learning every week. So it has been learning experience racings, but it's been a lot of fun. And then I run the Cars Tour Pro Late Mile series, and so that's on pavement. And so we just went to Hickory yesterday, and we raced there. So that's all pavement racing. It's a stock car, and so that's what I've been focusing on to move up to get to NASCAR.
Is Carson Guaffle in your class at Hickory? Does he race there?
He ran so the Cars Tour series like travels around, and so there's the late mile stock and then the pro late miles. So Carson won the late mile stock race last night, but his little brother Caden races the pro. So I race against Caden, and then Carson races like the late mile stocks.
Okay. I know them guys through Cohen McDaniel.
Oh yeah, yep, I know them.
So we were just recently, I watched your opening night at Millbridge.
Mm-hmm.
We flew out there, and Adriana raced for Cohen.
Oh, okay.
In his 250 cart.
Yeah.
But I was going to come talk to you when you went to the scale, but you forgot the scale, and then you drove back around. So.
Yeah. That was bad.
And you laid it over on didn't you lay it over on its side the next following week?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, still trying to get better at the micro.
It takes time. You'll get there.
Yeah. It's fun though. Every time I go out there, there's not a lot of pressure, and everyone like is just there like to have fun and stuff. So it's all fun. I always have fun when I go out there.
I think you're a pretty good friend with a good friend of mine, Devin Rouse, too.
Oh yes, he's my roommate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
I watched Devin growing up through he literally lived 20 minutes from me.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he just went home this weekend. He's not here right now, but he went home for some racing and visit family, so he's not here. But he's awesome.
I told him I was going to make it to the High Limit to race Tuesday, but I'm actually flying to Spokane, Washington, so I'm going to have to watch it on TV.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it funny, Katie, and Brett knows this, that when you first get involved in motorsports, or maybe not so much if you went to the races growing up, but you think, oh, it's a huge industry, and then yet you start to talk to somebody, and they're like, oh, do you know so and so? Oh yeah, that's my mom's best friend's, whatever.
Yeah.
And there's so many connections, and I find that, yes, there's how many billion people in the world, but this week I've had two things that happened to me where I met somebody I didn't know that introduced me to somebody, and that person I didn't know, and yet we knew people in common. And it just makes it so fun to, say, hey, I know so-and-so. And yeah.
Yeah. That's what is so fun about living down here in North Carolina is like back home, I'd like go race, and then I'd go to school, and like everyone like doesn't know anything about racing or stuff. So they're talking about the football game or something like that, where I come here, or I live here now. And so we race Saturday, and then even Saturday night, like I went to the gas station, I saw the kids I race against, or like we'll be like, hey, you want to go karting on like a Wednesday? And it's like, you like hang out outside the track. And so it's like, these are all like my people down here.
Right. And Katie, you can tell by looking at your face that you are in your element. This is absolutely what you love to do. And yes, you're having a lot of fun, but you're serious about it. This is what you want to do as a career. I know that for sure. So I love the smile, the big smile on her face when she talks about racing and hanging out with her people. That's just so fun. So tell me, how did you get started? What, way back, start with, you were 5 years old, you started there, and now you're in the late models. So, was it your dad that kind of, you obviously got you interested? How did your mom feel about you getting involved in racing?
My mom didn't really know like too much about the kind of racing my dad did until her and my dad started dating and everything. But she started going to the track right away after they started dating and everything. So she was at the track all the time and like learned more and everything. And she's an engineer at GM, and so
Yeah.
she loves cars, and she loves cars going only 55 instead of 105. But she loves that. I love racing. She loves she loves us obviously, but she loves that I'm focused about it. And she supports me. And she's also, since she works for GM, she's Chevy, so she's glad I'm a Chevy driver. Um,
Right.
but my grandpa was into cars and stuff, my mom's dad and stuff too. And so she knew like about drag racing, not about circle track racing.
Yeah.
But she likes racing just as much as we do. She knows I have all the safe equipment and everything. So she's not the biggest fan of open wheel stuff, just because my grandpa raced that mostly, and he had some couple bad wrecks. But she likes the late model stuff. She likes the team. She likes coming to the races. Her and my siblings probably come to a race about once a month. They were here yesterday, which was a lot of fun, so that was cool. But I love when she gets to come to the races and support
Yeah.
me, because it's just cool having my mom there.
Yeah, for sure. So, you and your dad live in North Carolina. Your mom lives she lives on the east part of the state of Michigan. Um, so, without getting into anything too personal, how is it work out pretty good, or what are the challenges of having your mom that far away? I mean, FaceTime and everything makes it better, but she's not there, and so how and your dad too. I mean, how does that work for your family?
Yeah, it's definitely hard. And my dad, ever since we started racing down here in like 21, we knew that eventually, if I want to further my career to get to NASCAR, which has always been my goal, I'd have to eventually move down to North Carolina. And we didn't know if we all would move or what would go on. And so last year is really when I decided that I wanted to move. My dad had always kind of like just put it in my ear, like, "Hey, we'll probably have to move. We'll probably have to move." And I wanted to finish high school when we first started talking about it, just because all my friends I grew up with, my
Hmm.
family, just wanted to finish high school. But last year we went to a couple big races. We went to Wilkesboro, we went to Martinsville for late model stock, and I knew that. And I didn't do too hot in those races, but I knew that if I wanted to get better and I wanted to make it, I have to move to North Carolina. So with my mom's job and everything, it's kind of hard for her to move, and with my sister being in school and stuff. And so we like made the talk that just my dad and I would move, which obviously isn't ideal because my parents are still together, and I miss my siblings a lot. My brother's only 4, and so I don't want to miss him growing up or anything. But we see them a lot. I saw him yesterday. I saw him last week. I'll see him next week. So
Yeah.
they travel a lot. I go back home a lot, and so it still works out. I still see them, but it's still hard sometimes, like not being with them every day.
Well,
We hear this story a lot with
hmm,
a lot of
yeah.
girls we've talked to lately. Their parents are in two separate states,
Yeah.
and they're in North Carolina
Hmm.
to fulfill their dreams. So it's tough, but sometimes it's something that has to be done, and it'll work out in the end.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful that my dad's job allows him to do that because he owns a trailer business. And so a lot of the trailer sales now that he does is online. And so I'm really thankful that he was willing to do it with me because he knows that how big my dream is. My mom knows. And so we actually just like bought a house. So we're moving into a house here in a couple weeks. And so I feel like everything's finally like settling down. But I'm so grateful my parents support me because once hopefully I make it, I do like want to repay them and everything.
Well, and let's be honest, Katie. Some parents are not in a position where they're able to do it, and so the fact that you are lucky in that regard, number one, like you said, your dad's able to do that from wherever he is, and just the fact that they're willing to sacrifice all of you being together in that to help you further your career because you're already 16 years old, and so it's not going to be that many more years that he
Mhm.
has to be there with you. If we know kids that move to Carolina when they're 18 years old by themselves,
Mhm.
and I can't even imagine letting my 18-year-old child move somewhere that far away by themselves. but it's common in racing, you know.
Hmm.
And I think the race family looks out for each other a little more. So people that, in North Carolina that are friends or that you race with that know your family, if something would happen that you get sick in the night or something, you've got people there.
Hmm.
You would have people there to help in case your dad wasn't there. So, uh,
Yeah.
but
The
you are
atmos
lucky.
the atmosphere in North Carolina is amazing. Like just
Yeah.
from when I've been there, and Adriana has a dream of moving there. She don't want to. She'll pursue NASCAR, but her dream is a dirt for
Hmm.
World of Outlaws. But
Yeah.
she'll take whatever. But just that from us being in North Carolina, she's ready to move to North Carolina. Like,
Yeah.
and my job will let me move too. It's
Yeah.
my family that I don't want to move away from. Is the hard
Yeah.
part.
And it was hard, especially like before like the first year when I came down here, because I didn't really have any friends here, anything like that. But last year, like I started like hanging out with more people or like talking to them, because like when I'm at the racetrack, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I was focused, but I was like focused a little too much. So then I'd like talk to people like. Obviously, I'm still focused, but then when I'm not racing, I have people to hang out with, or I know that I'm not like lonely when I'm here, which made the move easier, but still miss my family.
Yeah,
Well, and
you got a good group of girls to hang out with. I'm sure being with
yeah,
Devin, you've
Oh
got
yeah,
you've got Taylor Reimer, you've got uh
Jade,
yeah, Jay
Carson,
Davidson,
all
Nate
them.
Bezian. Yeah, I mean, it's like I always give him crap. I'm like, geez, I'm gonna move to North Carolina, hang out with all the cool kids too.
Yeah, it's cool. We were joking the other night. Devin and I love buffalo chicken dip. So we're always like, all right, we're going to go home and make buffalo chicken dip. So we were making it the other night, and my dad and I were like, Devin, after we move into the new house, we need you to invite all your friends because he knows so many people so that we can have a big party at the new house.
there you go. That's awesome. And you can't you can't limit yourself, like, you have a lot of friends where you grew up, granted,
Hmm.
but to be able to say, okay, but my goals and my dreams are so important to me that I have to step out of my comfort zone where I have a bunch of friends, where I already know where I go to school and all that. I'm going to step out of my comfort zone, and I'm going to move to a town how many hours away, 6 or 8 hour whatever hours away, and you make completely new friends. And not that this is negative at all, but those people that you're racing with are probably going to be your lifelong friends, more so than your school friends. And I find that whether it's racing or anything else, especially like with my kids, the friends that are their lifelong friends aren't necessarily the ones they went to school with.
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. I have my best friend Grace, from back home. She came to the race this weekend with my family. So she's, like I said, grew up in a small town. She shows cattle, so cows are her thing. That's like how I got into it and everything. But when I'm home, I'll go to her cattle shows or hang out with her, and then she comes to my races. So it's cool because she like wants to know about it. And whenever she goes to the racetrack, she's there for me and stuff like that. And my friend Paige from back home, she worked the Cars Tour race yesterday, so she's like she wants to get into motorsports now. So it's cool when I have like those couple friends who are like real ones and they want to still come hang out and stuff, even though I'm 10 hours away from home.
Right. And so, what is it, Paige Rogers?
No, well, Paige
No,
Rogers is
different
one
Paige.
actually, but
Okay.
it's my friend Paige Feldman. Yeah, she's back from my
Okay.
high school, but
Okay. Because I just did a podcast with Paige Rogers.
yeah, she's
So,
pretty cool too. I hang out with her sometimes.
okay. All right. Awesome. So, I guess one of my questions would be, the things that you're doing now, how much do you actually help with the car? Is that something that they want you to do, or is the car like at a different location and somebody else completely takes care of all that?
So part of the reason we moved to North Carolina is to be down here with all the race teams and everything. Well, this year I got hooked up with Anthony Campy Racing, which I'm super thankful for. But his shop is out of Sarasota, Florida, which is 8 hours away. So
Okay.
I can't do much to work on the car, but I keep talking with them this summer. I have plans to like fly up there and hang out for a week before a race or something like that to go, because I don't know much about cars, and I keep telling them, I was like, I want to know more. Every time they make a change, they tell me like what they did, what it will do, stuff like that. So this summer I plan on going up there, hopefully quite a bit, to help out with that and get to know the cars more.
Yeah, I think that's important, and Brett can speak to that too because if the car feels a certain way or whatever, the more you know about how it's put together, the better you can help them fix the car for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you work on the micro? Is the micro around your house?
Yeah, so the micro's in Denver, so it's about like 40 minutes from here at Carber's shop. So sometimes I'll go up there, and he usually like doesn't do much on the cars, but I went up there a couple weeks ago and I cleaned the trailer, cleaned the cars, and then like did like a nut and bolt check, like tightens things and stuff like that.
Yeah. So how far is Millbridge then from where you live, Katie?
It's about 15 minutes.
Oh gosh, that's easy.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I interviewed, I think her name was Ashley. Is Ashley one of the owners at Millbridge?
Yep.
Yeah. I interviewed her quite some time ago, and I'll be honest, at the time, I probably really didn't know that much about Millbridge. I hadn't really heard much about it. But
Hmm.
now, I mean, and maybe I just wasn't aware, but now I think you hear about it so much more, especially when there's so many NASCAR drivers and big name drivers,
Oh
racing
yeah.
there. And so yeah, she and I are going to get together again. We're going to do another story with her, and that's one of my bucket list tracks, believe it or not, because I've heard so much about it, and Brett talks about it so much that I want to go there and check that out sometime maybe this summer. So for
Yeah, she's got a really good program going on over there.
yeah,
I heard about it like last year, and so we went to a couple races to watch some friends of ours and everything. And it's a lot of fun. Like, I think it's a good like learning experience and like a place to start. Like a bunch of the NASCAR drivers' kids go there and stuff like that and race. So it's just fun to go out there and like watch, and it doesn't get done super late and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, Millbridge is like for us Midwesterners, from Iowa to Millbridge is our Daytona. Like
Hmm.
that's that. So we talk about it like crazy here.
Oh
We
yeah.
have Knoxville. We have Knoxville close to us, which
Hmm.
is like everybody else talks about Knoxville. I'm like, I don't care about Knoxville. I want Millbridge.
Yeah.
But and Jimmy and Ashley run a good show there, like they really do.
Hmm.
And they're having some troubles right now, which
Yeah.
hopefully they can get. So Melinda, I don't know if you've heard they're having issues with parking, and
um,
the neighbors. There's new
Hmm.
neighbors that have moved in, like 3 or 4 different neighbors that have moved next to the track, and they're complaining.
well,
And
hello, they just moved next to a track.
Yeah.
yeah, and so the county is letting the neighbors win right now, and they can't. So they have to now. Millbridge races like Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Hmm.
because they have to split their show up because they can't park everybody.
Yeah.
Oh man, well, somebody needs to do something to help them because that's a shame.
There, there's a lot of fighting going. Like there's a lot of people that are going to fight for Millbridge. So
I think it's
Yeah,
funny every drivers meeting, Ashley's like, they're still fighting us, but we are not giving up, and like people like cheer and stuff. But she's really cool. I like her.
well, and so that's interesting because I live in Kalamazoo, and so Kalamazoo Speedway it's not in town by any means, but there are houses not real far away. But the same thing happened, and the neighbors, somebody bought a house, and then they started complaining. So then the show had to be over by a certain time. And they were going to limit this and limit that, and it there was a lot of drivers, um, local drivers, and then some big name drivers who have come to Kalamazoo to race in the past. That they had a big meeting and a lot of people showed up, and so they got it settled, whatever. But it's like, okay, you can't not know that there's a racetrack next door to you.
Hmm.
So what do you expect?
yeah,
Yeah, I'd be tickled to death to live next to a racetrack, wouldn't you? Yeah, for sure. So Katie, I know every day is not a great day. So how do you deal with a bad day at the racetrack?
Um, well, ever since I was like young and started racing, my parents we've always done like interviews, and so like to help me keep my cool and everything, because as I move up, after you get out of the car after you wreck, there's pit road TV, mics in your face, like you gotta keep the calm. So um,
Hmm.
this year so far, I'd probably say Speed Weeks was one of the roughest ones. We had a good Speed Weeks, but there was one race where it was like the second lap. Some guys like got together. I got the bad end and I hit the wall and I was done, which was really frustrating because we had a fast car or whatever. And so I had to keep calm. I had to take a deep breath. My dad always says, like, sit in the car for a second, go get a water, but then come back out and do the interview. So, like, last year
Hmm.
for Cars Tour, they have that, and we had trailer with doors. And so I'd go in, get a water, close the door, but then I had to come back out to do the interview. So it's hard sometimes, but I know that I'm always on camera and everything. And for like little kids watching the race, I know my brother always watches my races, so I don't want him to see me pounding the wheel or doing anything like that. So it's
Yeah.
hard, but I just take a couple deep breaths, get a water, and then usually I'm all right.
Yeah, that's good because your parents were smart to get you started early with
Hmm.
learning how to deal, because it's the one sport that you lose more, way more than you win, you
Hmm.
know. And you just have to learn how to be a gracious winner and a gracious loser as well, for sure.
And usually a lot of stuff is on social media, and you never know who's watching you. So if
Hmm.
Junior's watching my race and I say a bad word or I get mad at someone, like it doesn't look good. So I just
Yeah.
always got I watch what I say, watch what I post, and just try and always see the positive in things, even though sometimes I just want to go scream, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I mean, everybody feels that way, but showing maturity and how you handle that is really admirable. So, what's your favorite thing about being a race car driver?
um Besides going fast, is the fans. I always like when we have fan sessions or anything like that, especially when we like start solid merch and everything, and we got kid sizes, because I love seeing little fans come up to me or little girls come up to me, asking me to sign their shirt, asking how to drive a race car. I always love it when dads come up with their kids and they're like, "Oh, he wants to get a go kart or something," and I'm like, "Do it!" Like, parents probably don't appreciate because it can get a little expensive, but I'm like, do it. Like, we need more like people in racing and everything, especially young girls.
Yeah.
So I always just try to be like a good role model. So then when young kids come up, they see positive in racing and everything. But I love the fan sessions. I love signing autographs and doing all that. So I that's probably one of my favorite parts.
Okay, Brett.
So who do you look up to? Is that like who's your one of your role models?
Um, my grandpa was always my role model, growing up. And so he always would come to my races and he'd give me pointers and stuff like that. So obviously he was always my role model. But my favorite like NASCAR driver who's also a role model is Kyle Larson. I've always been a big Kyle Larson fan, probably because he races dirt and pavement, which
Hmm.
automatically stuck out to me. But I train with him at Chevy and stuff sometimes, and so he's a cool dude to talk to. Really down to earth, and I think he's cool.
Yeah, he'd
Andy
be a
wins a
really
lot.
good role model,
Yeah, and he wins.
and he wins. Today he got wrecked really bad, so
Ooh.
it wasn't good near the end of the race, which was a shame for sure. Yeah. So, what do you think has been your biggest obstacle?
Um, I'd say recently is kind of been luck. I need some luck on my side recently. Um, but just I don't know. There hasn't been like too much I've struggled with, I'd say. Moving down here has helped a lot. But with my Chevy training, we're starting to get into karting, go karts. So right now, that is my biggest obstacle because I'm
Okay.
not a good karter. And so I'm struggling a little bit with that. Um, but I haven't had too much like bad things on my way to move up or anything like that. I'm sure I will, especially being female in racing. I don't always get taken as seriously or get as much respect as some other drivers will. But now my team, they're like, you got to be aggressive, got to be aggressive. So yesterday I gave it back a little bit. And so I think I'm starting to learn or earn some more respects from my other drivers.
Yeah, so that's let's talk about that because I know that's one of the questions I usually ask is how do the guys feel about you when you beat them, or do they tend to want to wreck you more than somebody else on the track, or and over the years has that changed? Did it used to be worse than it is now, or because let's admit, Katie, you get a lot of press now, at least if you follow racing, and so they have to understand that you're the real deal, even though you're a girl, even though you're a girl in quotes. So how has it changed, or has it always been one way or the other? Or talk about that for a minute.
Um, I mean, most of the time I do get respect from my fellow racers. A lot of guys, they like don't worry too much, but there are those guys every once in a while, sometimes the old timers, to be honest, that
Mm-hmm.
don't like that a young female's coming up, or if I outqualify them or I'm finishing better, they always have something to say about it.
Yeah.
But I just let it roll. If it's about qualifying, about how if I outqualify someone and someone's mad about it, I let it roll off my back. And then the race, I do get raced hard sometimes. Yesterday, I was battling with a couple guys, but
Mm-hmm.
this year I want to win the car store championship, and I want to win almost all the races, and so I've been giving it back. I've been more aggressive, and I think it's funny because yesterday I was battling with this friend of mine. Like, we're friends, but we were racing, and he like punted, or he like hit me a little bit after I cleanly passed him, and so going into turn 3, I kind of straight lined him a little bit. But after the race, he came over and he's like, "Hey, sorry I raced you like that. Like, thanks for hitting me back. I should have done that." And I was like, yeah, but most of the time after I give it back a little bit, they're like, all right, we can't push her around. And so it's usually not too bad, but you do get those guys every once in a while.
Well, and I think you've got to push back, Brett. Don't you think so?
Yeah, that's what this year Adriana's in a class with grown men instead of kids, and
Hmm.
we raced in Oklahoma, and they were kind of pushing her, and it was getting her pretty upset because they were leaning on her really hard. And I said, next race, you go out there and you lean back. Like, they're gonna,
Hmm.
if you do it back to them, they think they can get away with it because you're just a young girl in this class. But if
Yeah.
you lean back on them, they're gonna learn to respect you.
Yep. My dad tells me the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Because we say it all the time. Once you put that helmet on, you're not a guy or a gal. You're a race car
Yep.
driver. So
Oh,
you've
yeah.
gotta hold your own out there.
Hmm.
So NASCAR is your ultimate goal, Katie?
Yep, I've wanted to race NASCAR ever since I was 5 years old, starting out. It's just been my overall goal. I've always wanted to maybe not be the first, but I wanted to win a NASCAR Cup championship. So I always say NASCAR is my goal, but I don't just want to get there. I want to win, and I want to win championships and everything. And so I've been trying to move up. I've been training to do that, and I have a lot of good people on my side for that.
Yeah, you do. That's awesome. And I can't wait to walk down pit road and come and get my picture with you when you park on pit road. So that's my goal for you, is that we get to see you there, because when you think about the age of a lot of those drivers, they're 18, 19, 20 years old. You're not that far away from
Hmm.
that age. And so you just keep working hard. You're going to get there. I know you are, for sure. So, Brett, do you have something, or should I keep asking?
Oh, I just seen Abby Gunter. She races at Millbridge weekly um, for SKE. She just wants to know, how are you liking the micros at Millbridge?
I love the micros. They're so much fun. Like I said, I love dirt. So I'm really glad I'm getting back into it and running races. We're running about every Wednesday micro race. And so I'm really excited. Hopefully, I get a little bit better at it. But I'm learning a lot. I got a lot of good guys. Chevy has one car that they put the NASCAR drivers in. Like, they switch them around and everything. So Daniel Suarez was in it last week. So that was cool to run with him and stuff like that. But I really like it.
How does somebody get hooked up with Team Chevy? Like, do they come to you, or did you have to fill out an application, or how's that work?
So when I was running junior late models, we started working with Lauren Rainier. So he's like Chevy's. like he picks out drivers and like brings them to Chevy. And so we started talking with Lauren Rainier, and then Matt Piercy, who I drove for, he works with Chevy too. And so then we started working with him, and we just started kind of talking to Josh Wise and Scott Speed, who do the Chevy development program. But really, Lauren helped me get hooked up with all that. And then this year is like the official year of me being a development driver for Chevy. So I train at the tech center and everything. And then they've sponsored me this year.
Can't beat that. You need to talk about Abby Gunther. Like she needs a girl to kind of talk to at the racetrack. You should hook up with her sometime and just get to know her.
Okay.
I'm good friends with their family through this program,
Mm-hmm.
and every week now, every night that she races, I'll send her a personal message and give her some words of encouragement, and she loves it. She's a super sweet girl,
Oh,
and
cool.
I do that to her and Cohen. So Cohen,
Oh yeah,
me and Cohen have a good bond at race night too.
yeah. Cohen's pretty cool. He came up to me a couple weeks ago, and we were hanging out and talking. But they're cool. They're cool people.
Yeah.
Do you know Abby, Katie?
I don't.
Okay, well, we're going to tell Abby, because she's listening, that she needs to seek you out, because now you'll recognize her name because we've mentioned her to you. So she needs to seek you out at Millbridge, and you guys can be a mentor in that for her too, because it's that would be great if we could connect a couple young gals together. So you talked about sometimes a dad will come up to you and bring their son or daughter, and say, "Oh, they want to do this or that." What do you, other than say, "Yeah, I'll go buy a go kart"? What is some other advice you would give a parent whose child wants to get started in racing?
I mean, if they're interested in it, I say like go for it. So go karts and quarter midgets are the two like main. Well, there's also like the dirt things, but for me, pavement, it was go karts and quarter midgets that all like we all grew up racing. So I went the quarter midget route, which was circle track, paved circle track, and so I like those. So that's what I like recommend. But you never like know what your kid wants to race, so like growing up, I watched NASCAR, which is why I want to race NASCAR and why I like racing paved ovals. And so I say like just see what your kid's interested, and just make sure they like love it. Like racing is an expensive sport, and so you want to make sure that they're really in it. And so right now, my brother, he loves cars. Like at the racetrack, that kid has every single NASCAR, and he'll tell you what cars, what, and everything. And so we know he wants to race. And it's just make sure they have fun, like any sport. You don't want them to get burnt out or anything, and so make sure they're still having fun, they want to do it, and hopefully they do, so then we have more kids coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to keep encouraging those young ones,
Mhm.
and get this out of their hands, whether it
Mhm.
be whatever kind of electronics it is, and get them outside and get them, doing those kinds of things. So, Katie, do you know Sue Hettinger Meyer?
Yeah, that's my aunt.
Okay, she says, "Love that girl." And then there's a message here from Fred Wood. Says, great to see you. Stay fierce. You can take care of yourself and still have a reputation of being a driver that is fun to race with." So that's a good comment, Fred. Thank you
Mhm.
for being on and listening to us. So one thing that I like to ask people that I interview is, how have you or will you make an impact on the motorsports industry, specifically, helping grow women in motorsports?
I really hope so. I want to be a good influence. So when young females are looking up, they say that hopefully not even that they want to be like me, but they want to be better than me. So then more females are coming up and they are doing better and winning races. And so that was my biggest thing is when I became the winningest female at Hickory.
Mhm.
I liked it because it was good for females and a good title, but I also like it because I won a lot of races. But I want females to look at that and not be like, oh, that's cool, but be like, I want to beat that. I want to win more races. I want that record because Hickory is such a historic track that I really wanted that title. So we were always like, oh, how many more races do I got to get? How many more races? And so I want females that want to come up and want to win and be aggressive, and know that they want to be in it for racing. There is a lot of social media that's in the sport now. And so sometimes that can take over, which I like doing the social media, but I'm not like my parents are like, gotta do a post, gotta do a post. And so I just want to go to the racetrack and race. And so hopefully more females see that and see that they want to be there to race and all that stuff. So yes, I hope I have an influence on the sport.
Well, and the social media part, which that's one of the things really that we ask you about is how do you use social media to promote yourself and your team. And I see you a lot on social media, whether it's you or somebody else posting. I printed this off. It's from, I think it was from yesterday, fun night in the micro yesterday, and I learned a lot. Qualified 12th, and
Hmm.
so I. I follow you obviously a lot because I've met you, I know you, I've seen you race, so it makes it way more personal for me because I feel like I really know you. But how do you use social media, or how does your team use it? I mean, you've got a lot going on. How does your team use it to get your name out there even more and promote what you're doing?
I've had some help with a couple people on my social media. My parents, they like review my posts and everything before I do them. I mostly do most of my own social media, um, but we've just been using my social media to just get my results out there. As I get more followers, I get more higher up people and people from NASCAR and team owners and stuff like that. So I just want to make sure that I get my results out there. So one, my fans know where I finish. So people like that see where I finish, and then also, if it was a bad race, people can get my point of the view of what happened. So if there was a wreck, it doesn't just show like my post race like interview or my post wreck interview. They can see like I can give more of my side of the story or stuff like that. But I've been very careful on what I post on social media. I try to keep most of it my racing account racing, but still incorporate that little personal side. So when
Mhm.
I went on a fishing trip last year, I posted about that. I posted about showing my heifer, and stuff like that, because then people can relate to me. So not only do I have followers from racing, but I have followers from people who show cattle or people who fish or stuff like that.
Right.
So and then we've also tried to like build my brand. So Katie Hettinger, we've built that after me being an outdoors woman. So I like to do all like hunt and do all that stuff. And so people like know who I am, but they also know that I race and I'm focused. And then to get my sponsors like recognition ship and stuff like that, so that people know about them and all that they do for me.
Yeah, absolutely, and all those things you said are important, and you definitely use social media the right way. So, okay, we got to catch up on all these comments. And gosh, Katie, a lot of them are guys. I'm not sure why that's happening, but anyway. So Andy Morrison says, "I'm never give up!" Exclamation point racing. I'm Andy Morrison. Do you know Andy?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well he's listening. And then we've got Mason Ingram. How did you do it, Hickory? I didn't go because I was sick. And when are you coming back?
We finished sixth last night out of 29 cars at Hickory. So it was a pretty solid race. We did get into the wall just a little bit at the beginning of the race. That was driver error on me and a couple other things. So I went back a couple spots on the start. But I was able to drive back up. I did pretty good car. We did have some damage, but I did decent car. And we were able to drive up to sixth and kind of be there at the end. So pretty solid night. Qualified second too. So that was good. And then we go back with Hickory. With Car Store. I think that's in a couple weeks. I don't know the exact date, but the next time I'll be there is with Cars Tour.
And so the Cars Tour is Dale Jr., Kevin Harvick, and the guy that owns Trackhouse, right? I can't think of his name,
Uh,
Brett.
and Jeff Burton.
Oh yeah, Jeff Burton. Okay,
Mhm.
so you got some pretty big name owners there that
Mhm.
are probably keeping an eye on the people that are driving there as well. Would you say?
Yeah, it was cool because yesterday Dale was there. And so it was cool to see him again and stuff like that. He's a cool dude. I always like talking to him. So it's cool. And it's really good for the series. You know, Jack and Keely, they do a lot for the series and they do a great job. I really like Keely. She's cool. Jack is awesome. I always get to talk about. I love racing in the series. It's really good racing in both the pro and the late model stock. And so just all those guys coming on board and it hooking up with Flow Racing, so they're
Mhm.
streaming all the races. It's just really good for the series.
Well, and it's good for the drivers. They're getting
Yeah,
a lot
it's
more
good for us
exposure.
too.
So Jeff Wooden says, I've been watching her since New Smyrna. She definitely can drive, which is nice. Thanks, Jeff. And then Jesse Hettinger, do you know who that is?
It's my mom.
Okay, I knew that. Katie, have you done your post race social media update from yesterday with a whole bunch of question marks?
I
Uh
haven't
oh.
yet. I'm about to
Uh-oh.
do that.
Sorry, Mom, but she's been busy today. And then Kim Dief, she
hmm
said, hope you race in Michigan again this year. Is that somebody that you know?
Yeah. Right now we don't have any races in Michigan like on the schedule that line up, but hopefully if something works out, hopefully we can race in Michigan. I'd really like to, but it just depends on how everything works out.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Well, it doesn't sound good to me. I wish you were coming to Michigan, but maybe I'll have to put the Cars tour on something I got going on for the summer so that I can get there to see you. That would be fun. So, Brett, what else have we got to ask Katie about?
Well, I don't have a comment off of the live page, but one of my Snapchat friends sent me. See it?
Yeah.
He said he said ask her how terrible of a roommate I am.
That is
Oh,
a lie. Devin is the best.
oh, that's funny.
It's awesome. We keep talking. He's like, all right, buffalo chicken dip and movie night. And like, we always have something the next morning, so we can't. But he also has this puppy, Bo, who is my best friend. And he's not here right now, but I
Oh.
love Bo and Devin. They're both cool.
So, Rich France says, enjoy the program. Zach and I really like having Katie on our show. So, what show is that, Katie?
I think that's Horsepower Happenings.
Yeah, I think so.
hmm
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they have a great show, and they're very supportive of you, Katie. I know that for sure. And
hmm
so, yeah, thanks, Rich, for you guys listening to our show tonight too. That's awesome. So, besides racing, I know you said you show your heifer.
hmm
You like to hunt and fish. Is there anything else that we have not asked you about that we should have asked you?
I don't think so. Mostly what I like to do is just race and be outside. So that's basically my whole life. But when I was in high school, I played varsity sports. So as a freshman, I played volleyball and basketball on the varsity team. And then I started playing volleyball last year, my sophomore year, before I switched to online. But I really enjoy playing sports. This year, some of my friends, like my guy friends, they keep saying they're like, we need to go play basketball and stuff like that. And I'm like, I know, I want to go because I really miss it. So hopefully we this summer and stuff we can all go play stuff.
Yeah. So, that kind of brings up a question, as a mom and I know how quickly time flies. Brett knows that too. He's got two kids that are, you're going to turn around here in another year or two, Brett, and you're going to be like, what happened to my babies? But,
Yeah.
as you've got a little bit older, now you're online schooling, you're away from, your home, basically where you grew up, you know, um, is that something that you feel like you're going to ever look back and be like, darn, I wish I'd have done this differently? I mean, I know that's hard to say, but, um, you're sacrificing a lot. I remember I interviewed Megan Meyer, the drag racer, and, she said her and her sister, they were gone every weekend. They didn't go to prom. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. And sometimes she wishes they could have done more of that. Where are you at in that respect?
I I don't think that. There are like sometimes where, like when I was in school, I'd see a football game or something like that, and I'd be like, oh man, like I'd see people post, and it's like, oh man, I wish I was there or something like that. But racing, like I said, always what I wanted to do. And right now I'm having like the time of my life. Like I am driving for a good team. I got a lot of good people behind me. I'm getting to do what I love every single day. And I just keep telling myself that everything that I've sacrificed, my family's sacrificed, like it's probably all going to pay off with all the hard work I'm putting it in and everybody else is putting in to help me, that once I get older and I make it to NASCAR, like I can still go home and see my friends or do stuff like that. Like, I
Mhm.
went to high school my freshman year, so I went to homecoming, and then my sophomore year homecoming, I went to Las Vegas for an ARCA race. So, there are times where I'm like, that would be fun, but also then 2 weeks later I'm in Vegas or like something like that. So sometimes I'm like, oh, I see my friends hanging out, and I'm like, I miss that. But then I get to fly my friend to a race yesterday, and we're at Hickory
Right.
having the time of our lives. So I feel
Yeah.
like I don't. I don't really wish I did anything differently, and I'm thankful for the path I'm on right now, and I'm just gonna keep digging and hope it all pays off.
Well, and maybe that wasn't a fair question, but you're old enough to kind of see what you're missing and decide whether which is more important. And obviously, racing's more important. And here's the other side of that. So you went to Vegas for a race, and you look back at the kids in your school. How many of them have ever done anything like that? Or some of the things that you've gotten to do that they've never done or maybe never will. And so there's a trade off, isn't there?
Yeah, like I see like kids hanging out or doing something like that, or going to the prom and then going out to parties or stuff like that. And me and my best friend are waking up at 7 in the morning, getting Dunkin', and then going to a racetrack in Vegas. Or we go and we meet NASCAR drivers, or we hang out and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
so it's just like I'd rather be doing that any day than be going to
Yeah.
a football game or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, that's when you know that you're talking to somebody who's going to do well, who's going to go far, because the passion is not just in your voice, but it's in your actions as well. Yeah. Brett, what are you thinking? Are you
Oh,
awake?
I don't. I'm awake. I'm wide awake. I'm just thinking
I know
about how
you
much.
are.
I'm just thinking about how much we need to move to North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew he was thinking something along those lines. Yeah. So, Mason Ingram, do you know who that is?
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
And he says, "Don't give up, Katie May." So he must know you from somewhere. But anyway, yeah. So, I don't really have any other questions for you, Katie. But I did. We put you on the cover of the magazine
Mhm.
not that long ago. So, I didn't even call and ask if it was okay. I just did it because I knew you were probably going to be okay with it. Um, we love promoting women in motorsports, Brett and I both, not just because he has a daughter that races, but just because, we have a passion for
Mhm.
that. And not that I always say it's not that we don't like the men, we do. We love the men, but we are all about the women and
Mhm.
want to give them sometimes a shout out and the encouragement and things that maybe they don't always get anywhere else. So that's kind of where we are for sure. So I don't have any other questions. Brett, do you want to close out this part of the show with our normal what you do?
Yeah. So, Katie, you know, usually when we talk to somebody, especially for an hour, um, you feel more like you become a family member to us. So, one thing we like to tell anybody that's been on the show or that we've met is welcome to our family. And you always have us to lean on if you ever need anything. So,
Mhm.
just you're a part of a big family now, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's kind of been a part of us for a while anyway, but now you're officially welcomed into the family by Brett. So couple more comments. You had the most comments on this show that we've
Ever.
ever had. So Johnny O'Neill, he's a big follower of motorsports, and I'm sure you've seen that name because
Mhm.
he says, keep up the awesome racing. Enjoy following your career. And then Kim Blair Van Dyke says, Katie, the Van Dykes love you.
That's my best friend's grandma, so I love them too.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I can see why, because we love you too. We love watching what you're doing. We love watching your success. And, even if when I read this, what you posted, it says, I ran and I hit the berm and spun. And then, but I'm really excited to get back in this thing in 2 weeks. It's not, woe is me. It's, yeah, I messed up. but I came back and I'm excited about racing. And I love that part of what you write about. So,
Thank you.
do you know Rachel Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, she says, oh yeah, says Grace VD's mom. Great job, Katie. And then the last comment we're going to share is Jeff Wooten again. Hope to see you race at Winchester. Have you ever been to Winchester?
No, I haven't.
That's on my list of places that I'd like to go watch one of their big races too. I
Hmm.
have a list longer than I'm probably going to live, Katie. So I have to, I have to keep adding to it and that. So if we wanted to know where you're going to be racing, what's the best place for somebody to follow you?
So probably my Facebook or any I have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and it's Katie Hettinger on all of them. So those
Okay.
are the best spots to follow me.
Okay. And it'll show where you're going to be, not just afterwards, right?
Yeah, so at the
Yeah.
beginning of each month, my mom she makes a graphic of my races for that month, and
Okay.
then we usually like pin it to the top or something so you can see it.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. Well, Katie, this hour has just flown by. I really have enjoyed being able to talk to you on here. I know I'll probably see you somewhere. Last year, I saw you a couple times, and one of them we were in Charlotte at the
Hmm.
Women's in Motorsports NA event, which was a really, really good event. And
Yes.
and so it was good to see you and your mom there, and it's nice to be able to stay in touch with you a little more than maybe some that I do just because of where you're from and I followed you for a little bit longer. So thanks for being on the show so much, and hey, good luck this year. Hopefully I'll see you somewhere at a race and get to do some live or something with you. That'd be fun.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Sure,
Yeah,
no
I'm sure.
problem.
I'm sure. I'll be out to. We have a customer that I work on machines. A big NASCAR customer. I can't say their name, but
Okay.
uh, I work on one of their machines. So whenever we do it, my boss flies me out there, and we come to Millbridge. So
Okay.
um, I'll make sure to come over and talk to you this time.
Okay.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
you're gonna have a snap. I'm sure you're gonna have a Snapchat back from Devin because I said you basically said that he was a badass and that she likes your puppy more than you.
There you go. Perfect. That's good. So, Katie, tell your family I said hello, and we'll be watching where you're at. And like Brett said, anything we can ever do, you got a big announcement, or you need some help with anything, or whatever. I don't know what we could do, but we're always in your corner, and we're happy to help.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Good luck this season, Katie.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
You
you.
too.
So, oh gosh, I just love that girl ever since I first started following her. And she's fun to talk to. She's got the biggest smile.
I
You
don't think she
know,
ever quit smiling.
I don't think she does either. Her face probably hurts, but and she's so positive, you know, and she's got the right attitude about what she's doing and that people are watching. You never know who's watching. There's too many people that don't get that, you
Yep.
know, they don't know who's watching and or they don't remember and then they say something and look out, you've done the wrong thing. So, well, I've got a few things that we're going to go a little longer than an hour tonight because I wanted to talk to her for that hour, but I wanted to share a couple things. So, um, we have a couple of charities that we partner with. One of them is suicide prevention. We've talked about that before. Brett and I both had that happen very close to us. And so that is one of the charities that we like to support. And the other one that I've chosen to work with is autism awareness. And if you don't know, my grandson, that's 2.5, has autism. And he's the sweetest thing ever. I mean, of course he is. He's my grandson. What am I going to say, right? But it's Autism Awareness Month, so I'm going to put this up here. So my daughter is opening an autism center in the Phoenix area, and we're trying to help her get some toys raised and stuff for the kids at the autism center. So it's Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. So if you're interested in helping with that, she's going to be one of our sponsors for our show. And go to my Facebook page and you can see how to do that. So that would be great if you'd be willing to send some kind of a toy. She's got a link there how you do it. And then I've got some shout outs because man, racing is hot and heavy, Brett.
Yes, it is.
I've been getting, so I tell people to tag me, which I love, but I can't keep up. But anyway, so I'm going to go through these quick. Phoenix Kimball Racing, we've had her on the show. She has a YouTube series starting soon called My Super Sweet Track Life, co-starring Carson Hayslip Racing. So find that on YouTube, Phoenix, Phoenix, Kimball Racing, and it's called My Super Sweet Track Life. So find that. And then some prayers today. I saw where Lizzie Musey has stage 4 breast cancer. As a breast cancer survivor, that's a tough diagnosis. And so if you are the kind of person that has a prayer list and wants to say some prayers for her, she races. She's part of the Street Outlaws. Um, one of the guys that I've met and been friends with for a while, Jordan Anderson, he has 2 teams that race in the Xfinity race, and I know he's not a woman in motorsports, but he's been a friend and stayed in touch with me on and off for the last probably 3 or 4 years. And his team won their first Xfinity race yesterday, so I wanted to give them a shout out. Briley Kilmer, we know who that is, don't we, Brett?
Yeah.
She won the 250 feature at Cam Cartway Go-Kart Dirt Racing in North Texas. And yeah, that's awesome. So go to Briley, Brylee Kilmer. Go to her racing page and you can see her. And she and her dad got matching race suits, which is really cool. So
they race against each other.
Oh, I didn't know that. Well,
yeah,
she beat her dad.
They race. Briley's 12, I think. I hope I got her age right.
Yeah,
and
so.
her dad, she'll race in the adult class with her dad a lot, and a lot of times she beats her dad. So she's a pretty she's an up and coming star. She races non-wings, 250s, 500s, and micro, and now she has a 305 sprint car.
I know, she has 5 cars.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Wow. Kelsey Foley, she said, I'm spending my birthday in the best way at the racetrack. Ran my first USMTS race last night. I need to be more aggressive on qualifying, but I came back and made some adjustments for the B main. I started 16th, ran up to 10th, and she's headed in the right direction. So you know what? You don't always have to win the race to tag us. I like seeing girls that just are making progress, right?
Exactly. Girls that race, period. You don't have to just any tag us in anything. We don't. You're a winner to us no matter what.
Exactly. And yeah, and I just love, if they don't tag me, I can't keep up, Brett.
Yeah.
Because in the last week, I've added 183 people to my database since last Saturday.
I see all the notifications on the messenger, and I'm like, I'm just going to let Melinda deal with all that.
It's a lot. It's a full-time. Honestly, keeping up is a full-time job. Between keeping up with those, trying to get the magazine done, and the podcast and this show, it is literally a full-time job that doesn't pay, but I love doing it. So Rowan Edgar, we know who that is.
Yep.
Says, great way to kick off the outdoor season, won the heat and led every lap to pick up our first win of 2023 in the 250 series. So Rowan. Yay.
Rowan has Adriana's old 250 motor on that we traded.
Well, there you go. She just won her first race. Now, I think this is Mackenzie. It's Mekentzzi. We all these names, I have to get them right. Mackenzie Potter said, swept both races tonight at Port City Raceway. So excited for our team and my sponsors. Thanks to my mom and dad and Eli for giving me such a great car tonight. So Mackenzie Potter, great job. Love seeing that. And then, oh boy, Pigpen. We love Pigpen. Pigpen Motorsports. She races a lot too, and she raced at Viola Boys Speedway, which I know you guys go to, right?
Yep.
11 cars in Pigpen's class. Her dad wrote this. This girl was cool as ice, but dad not so much. And so Pigpen started seventh out of 11 in the feature race. They made a small gear change. She drove her tail off, avoided two big wrecks, and came home with a podium finish of third place. So, man, Pigpen, we love you, kiddo. And yeah,
that was her rookie race for this new class.
yeah. See, you know all about them. So I have to print it off because I can't remember everything. And then the last one I'm going to share with you is Brenda Kirby. She races at Cocoa Paw Speedway. I went there a year and a half ago, to watch some big races, and that's a beautiful track, and it's one of the most organized, well-run tracks I've been to. And so I met Brenda Kirby there, and what a nice gal. She won my heat race and led some laps in the main, but ended up finishing third. But hey, third is really good. And those racers out there, let me tell you, there's some really good racing at that track. So third is great, Brenda. So thanks for tagging us and doing that. So I have been really busy, Brett, as you know. And so I'm going to tell you some people that are going to either be on this show or podcast that we're going to record. So the podcast that's going to drop this week for Women's Motorsports Network podcast, which is just recorded, it's not on the live show, was she's a doctor. She is a plastic surgeon. She does cosmetic and reconstructive surgery. And what an interesting woman and show we have. And so watch for that show to drop. And then here's some other ones that we're going to have. So we did Katie tonight. Next week, we're going to have Kylie Smith Rollins. Kylie is from your area, right, Brett? Somewhere in Iowa?
Yeah, I can't remember where though. I know I've
Yeah,
heard of her name a lot.
But we had her on just one night, just sharing about the little hair, the hightail hair thing that she has. But she's going to be on about her racing career and talk a little bit more about the hair, the hightail hair thing for people with long hair, etc. So she's going to be on. And then May 14th is going to be Hannah Rickards. Hannah has worked with the World of Outlaws and a lot of people, and she's amazing. I've met her several times. I just absolutely love her. And then some people that I'm going to record some podcasts with. Summer Richardson, who's a race car driver. Kelly Franco owns Serafina, which is a company that makes undergarments for women that are fireproof. And she's been a friend of mine for a while. So we're going to have her on talking about fire safety and clothing and what she can do. And then Lori Warren, who is the president of Richmond Raceway, she and I are going to record a podcast this week, and we're going to talk about Richmond and how can they make the races better there and what they've got going on for the rest of the year. So we've got quite a number of people lined up. I'm trying to get them lined up ahead of time instead of last minute stuff. And then wanted to share this. Most people know who Travis Pastrana is. You know who he is, right, Brett?
Yep.
So he's not a woman in racing, but I'm a woman and I like him, so I'm going to share this. He's actually going to be in Hartford, Michigan, which is a dirt track, June 23rd. And then he's going to be at Kalamazoo, which is my local track, on June 24th. So that's kind of cool. I don't know the details. All they did was announce that they were going to be there. So if you're in the Hartford or Kalamazoo area, or you want to come see Travis Pastrana, he's amazing. I've seen him race in person a couple of times, and man, he's just not afraid of anything. I will say that for sure. So yeah, that's everything that I have on my list. How about you? Have you started racing yet?
So just a quick, I just want to give one shout out. It's not
Sure.
a female, but
Okay.
we're good friends with them, and he lets Adriana race his karts. So Cohen McDaniel, his rookie season is in the 600 micros, the same class Katie races, and he picked up his first. He almost won last week, and he got tangled up on a slide job. Somebody slid in front of him, and he caught him and broke the front end. But he got his first win last night. So big shout out to Cohen. You know, young kid, racing with the NASCAR boys and
Yeah.
holding his own. So congratulations to Cohen. So
And how old is Cohen?
I believe he is 13.
Wow. That's
So
impressive.
yeah, I don't think he has his permit yet. But I get along good with that family, and like I said, me and Cohen talk during race night. Um, like last night, he said, "I'm gonna try to win." I said, "No, Cohen, you are not gonna try. You are gonna." I said, "Say it with me." And he said he was gonna, and he did it. So,
Yeah.
um, so that
That's pretty awesome.
as far as our racing goes, we're not having very good luck. We haven't actually raced our season yet, but we've been to two practices. The first practice we went to, the cam on Adriana's new motor dropped out. So right now we're in the waiting process of getting that cam back. Um, then we had a borrowed motor from my boss, and it had a malfunction that wasn't nobody's fault that burnt the piston up at the practice at English Creek. So right now we've had two practices, two motors. So, and I have
It's got to get
Drake, my
better.
son. Yeah, my
Right?
son's not racing this year, so we have his motor that needed some welding done to it, getting fixed right now to be our primary until we get our motors back. So
Wow. And that's not cheap at
no,
all. No. Well, darn. Okay. Well, it's going to get better because you're getting all the bad stuff out of the way right off the bat.
let's hope so.
Let's hope so. Awesome. Well, I don't have anything else. We've had a great show tonight. We went over a little bit, but if you don't want to, you don't want to hang out with us and listen, that's okay. But you can listen to us later or whatever. But had a lot of response tonight, a lot of people watching, and so I'm excited about that. We've got some great guests lined up, and we'll have even more, for the summer. So I just want to thank everybody for listening, and we'll see you next Sunday. Next Sunday, I think I will be in Arizona. I'm headed to Arizona either Saturday or the next Wednesday for a couple of weeks to spend some time with my daughter that's opening up the autism center. I'm going to help get that started and get that going and play with my grandson. So there you go.
You know, we always talk about it being a small world. You probably don't know this, but um, we had a really good family friend. Their kid was autistic and or still is, and so they sponsored me. And the back of my race, every race car I had, the back of it was autismspeaks.com. Like,
I had
so
no idea.
yeah, so it's small world.
It is a small world. And, you know, I met Brett 2 years ago now, almost 3 years ago, I want to say. Um, like I meet everybody else, saw somebody on social media, he reached out to me or however it was. And, you meet a lot of people in this business or in life. And some people, you make friends with and you are acquaintances, and some people become family. And, you know, when I met Brett, after the first conversation, we talked for quite a while on the phone and talked about Adriana and, oh gosh, your son's name just escaped me.
Drake.
Drake. And so, and then I went to watch him race at English Creek now for the last 2 summers. And so some people just become family. And that's kind of why we say that at the end of the show, because you and I are family, you know.
Yeah.
We're not related by blood or by marriage or any of that, but we're family through racing. And if racing went away tomorrow, we'd still be family.
For sure. We're family by heart.
We're family by heart. And so that's how we feel about these people that we interview and we talk to. And we don't even have to interview you. If you reach out to us and we can help you in any way, we can put you in the magazine or just connect you with somebody, that could help you. That's family. That's what we do. And that's what we love to do. So, well, I think we should probably get off here, Brett.
Yep.
Any last words, or we're going to say goodnight and we'll see you next week?
No, just look for us at a local track near you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Good night.
Night.